let's start here. This is the New York Times assessment. They say the Supreme Court term that ended on Friday included an extraordinary run of victories for President Trump, culminating in that 6-3 ruling, largely eliminating the main tool that his opponents have used to thwart his aggressive agenda. Kevin.
Well, 35 nationwide injunctions came from 5 district courts, Shannon, as you know. And ultimately, what the last week of the Supreme Court term indicates is a tremendous and outdated corrective by a conservative court to decades of liberals weaponizing the judicial system. And so President Trump now, with 3 years left in his term, is sprung for a policy agenda that will deliver the will of the American people last November. The thing to sum up here, Shannon, I'm most excited about, given my own experience confronting the Obama administration on religious liberty 10 years ago, is the protection of children and families, the securing of the age verification porn law in Texas, the securing of eliminating transgender surgeries, a grotesque practice in Tennessee and nationwide. This is the will of the American people. It is truly a revolution of common sense, as President Trump referred to in his inaugural.
Well, and Kevin, the DNI has suggested that there was taking her words out of context. I mean, she was talking about whether or not the Supreme Leader had given the order. I think some people see that as different from whether they actually had the ability to build a weapon.
Well, it's very different. My national security colleagues at Heritage, who were in the NSC in the first term, are convinced that Iran's nuclear capabilities have been seriously degraded. But there's a larger point I would make, at least in terms of domestic politics, Shannon, about this leak. And whoever is behind it is intending to undermine what is, from this American historian, as you know, one of the most successful weeks in American presidential history. The degradation of Iran's nuclear threat, settling a peace with Rwanda and the DRC. Obviously, imminent passage of the reconciliation bill, which puts the policy trajectory of this administration on the fast track. And lost in all of this, Shannon, is that on Friday, both the S&P and the NASDAQ hit record highs. And then finally, if you think about the NATO summit, I happened to be in Europe until Friday on the heels of the NATO summit, meeting with business leaders and heads of state. They, some of whom are skeptics of Trump and Vance, had to admit, and it was beautiful to see, that President Trump is bringing order back to the world. In this town, leaks are the currency of people who lack virtue, and President Trump is restoring common sense to this ridiculous practice, too.
Listen, I'm across the